Hello and welcome back to another exciting episode of Pause It For Me. You may have noticed we have green screened ourselves into the alleyways of Venice, Italy today, just to shake things up a bit. I bought a very expensive green screen online and paid thousands of dollars to a VFX artist to get a realistic depiction of Venice, complete with pigeons who look like they're about to poop on us.
Probably.
As you can, and cigarette butts. These cigarette butts were expensive to render.
It's like Christopher Nolan talked about. He's like, I spend millions of dollars trying to recreate the realness of my first film.
Yeah, the dirtiness.
Yeah.
The grunginess. Yeah, so it's all a facade. We're pretending we're in Italy for this episode, and we're going to talk about some of the differences that we've experienced coming to fake Italy on this trip here. And haven't been watching a ton of movies.
No.
As you know, should be expected. We've been enjoying the green screen sites. But we did watch a couple documentaries. We watched the Sylvester Stallone documentary Sly. And we also watched, I think it's called The Greatest Night in Pop Music.
Yes.
Which is about the making of the song We Are the World back in the 80s. But how are you doing? How's your day going?
Doing good. Yeah, it's a nice sunny day in fake Italy, and been enjoying cappuccino.
We're in the shade just behind our Airbnb. You can see the windows right there. The walls in Italy have these really strange metal bars on them that are like bolted in at weird slanted angles. And when I played Assassin's Creed 2 as a kid, I assumed that they were put there like just for a gameplay element to help you climb the buildings. And now coming here, they're real. And
Yeah.
I don't know what they're for.
I wonder why. Like, there's little things that like jut out that seem like a perfect place for a bird to sit. Maybe it was for like flags or something. I don't know. I mean, because the city's so old, like, I think it was mostly built in the 1800s, and a lot of it has like stayed. So it's hard to know. Like, you have sort of like a Juliet balcony here. Yeah. You have places for clotheslines, which people still use.
Here, I'll take a quick video on my phone so that the audience can see what we're seeing. So as you can see, I didn't really bring tripods, so we have a Gorilla Pod on top of our camera bag, one of our camera bags, and then a selfie stick put inside of a water bottle. So
that's a programmer move.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
There's the door to our Airbnb.
Yeah.
Here's the balcony that we're looking at, and there's like the slanted metal bars that I was talking about. And of course you can see the view down the canal here. It's not a very busy one.
Well, we're in a corner. So
yeah,
it's
we're at a
not like
corner.
main
So you might
freeway.
see and hear some boats go by, but it shouldn't be too bad. But I wanted to look up some locations that were in Bicycle Thieves before we came here.
Yeah.
And then we forgot.
I feel like it takes place in Rome, so we would have to go to downtown Rome. That was on my mind. I think there's a boat coming by.
Yeah. Yeah, it was on my mind. I think we downloaded Bicycle Thieves and we put it in our Plex server so that we could watch it while we're here, but we haven't done that yet. Instead, we watched the Sylvester Stallone documentary because it's about the Italian stallion. Very appropriate.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, my other favorite movies in Italy are Roman Holiday.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we should have looked up some locations.
That's also
from that.
Well, they go to a lot of touristy spots, like anyways, like the Trevi Fountain and like the Face of Truth or whatever that they put their hand in, the Spanish Steps, that kind of thing. So that would be like main tourist things as well. We might have a chance to go on our way back. I'm not sure. If we decide to squeeze it in, we might, but...
Yeah. So we were in Rome, fake Rome. We started out in Rome. Landed there and then went to Tuscany, spent some time in Florence, and then Bologna. Now we're in Venice, and shortly we're going to head up Milan, Parma, Pisa, and then back to Rome to leave. But when we were in Rome, I don't think we were in like the really touristy area. Where we were, it seemed like we were the only English-speaking tourists there.
We were like a beachy town, like outside the city, so like not the Coliseum or anything fancy like that.
No, I'm not really, you know, in the words of Miles Morales, I'm gonna do my own thing.
I'd like to look around at least.
Sure, but like I'm not a big I'm not that big into museums unless they have really like tangible, active displays. We were at the Museum of Nature in Ottawa a few weeks ago, and most of the exhibits I was like, oh, cool, and then just kind of walked by. But then I was at the digital microscope for like 20 minutes, just like putting my bracelets underneath and like looking at my fingernails and stuff.
Got to touch a piece of ice.
Yeah,
cool.
So rare in Ottawa.
Whoa!
But yeah, coming here, I was like, I said this to you, like the difference between seeing a picture of the Statue of David versus seeing the Statue of David in person, difference between that is pretty minimal.
Sure.
Whereas the difference between seeing a picture of Italian food and eating Italian food is much bigger. So we've been focusing more on food and coffee and drinks and just kind of walking around. No regrets, yeah.
Yeah. When I was younger, I watched the movie Eat, Pray, Love. And I only watched the eat part where she was in Italy. And then when she got to India, I was like, boring. Shut it off. But
no offense to our Indian viewers out there.
No. I'm sure I would enjoy it now. But when I was younger, I was like, oh, great. They're like eating, enjoying lots of food in Italy. She's not worried about getting fat, just enjoying food.
So I'll ask, what has been the best, in each individual category, the best meal, drink, and snack that you've had in Italy?
Oh, that is so hard. Okay. Non-alcoholic drink is cappuccino.
We've been having a cappuccino like every morning.
Oh, it's the best. I had some other types of things, like just espresso, I think maybe a macchiato, cafe shakerato.
We had one at Cafe de la Sera yesterday that was like, it had like crushed up pieces of hazelnut on top and like chocolate in the bottom.
That was really yummy, but it was small. It was like a shot glass.
Yeah, we ordered cappuccinos right after that.
Cappuccinos are just classics. Like I could go for another one right now.
By the way, there's like a rule apparently that you're not supposed to order cappuccinos after like 11 a.m. in Italy. I have not found that to be the case. We've done it. Nobody gives a crap.
I don't think they care, especially because like we're obviously ordering a broken Italian. They're probably like, oh, they're tourists, like whatever. Just give it to them.
Well, like from what I read, it's like Italians are very concerned with digestion.
Yeah.
And I guess they feel like having a really milky drink with or after a meal will screw up your digestion. So they don't have a cappuccino with lunch or dinner. But breakfast for Italians is more just like a pastry. It's not really a meal.
Right.
So if they're going to have a cappuccino, that's the time to have it. So it's not really like, oh, it's 11 a.m. You better cut it out.
Yeah.
But,
it's not like if you go in at like 11:15, they're not going to serve you.
They don't
like, we've done that.
They don't. I think we've gotten one at like 2 p.m. before. Like what? It's whatever.
Yeah, I think maybe some enjoy it like as an after dinner treat or something like that because you've done your eating for the day.
And so, can you please tell the viewers your signature recipe for a tappuccino, please?
Okay, I'm very impressionable. I like heard it on a TV show, and I think what I remember it to be was tap water, some milk, and some artificial vanilla microwaved. Cappuccino.
You should tell the Italians about that.
No.
I brought a particular T-shirt here that I was gonna wear, go walk into a pizza place, and I was gonna learn the Italian. And by was gonna, I mean not gonna do this at all, but I was gonna learn the Italian to say, hey, the pizza here's pretty good, but have you ever heard of a little place called Pizza Planet?
And then I was gonna point to my shirt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
When I was actually gonna be wearing jeans.
Yeah. And pizza socks. Right now I have my hamburger and sword socks on. I don't know what that's about, but anyway.
I've really been enjoying the food here. Like when I think of like Italian movies, it's all about like the tasty food. Like such a key scene, key in my mind with Bicycle Thieves is when they go out to eat at like a restaurant, and the boy orders spaghetti and he's really enjoying it, but he like watches like another affluent boy near him, and like they have like a huge like table full of like food, and he's like jealous and stuff, like wishes they were better off. And yeah,
It's a great
love
movie.
that. Yeah, and like Luca, they eat like a basil pasta, and it's like, oh, best thing ever. Like, you know, it's just such a great part of like the Italian experience. It's just enjoying lots of food, like pasta, coffee,
Pistachio, pesto has been interesting. Brush your hair back so the viewers can see your beautiful face. So did you answer the question, like best favorite drink, snack, and meal?
Okay, so my favorite drink, cappuccino. My favorite alcoholic drink that I don't know if I tried until we got here was the Aperol Spritz. Like
Big thing.
It's so synonymous here that they just call it Spritz. Usually, like
everywhere
it's
you walk into is just like Aperol Spritz is at the top of the menu.
It's just like a go-to drink, just because it's like light and refreshing, you know.
I had a limoncello spritz one of our first days in Rome, and on the menu it was called Amalfi. I was like, oh, cool, Amalfi. And then when we came to Venice, I tried to order it somewhere else, and I was like, can I get Amalfi? And he was like, I don't know what that is.
Does that have gin in it?
Yeah, I was like, no, it's like a limoncello spritz. He's like, oh, I can make it for you, but this is the first that I'm hearing that it's called Amalfi. And I was like, oh, sorry. He was like, no, you don't need to be sorry. It's okay. And I had it, and it was great.
Yeah, I guess if you were to order again, you just say limoncello.
Yeah.
I had something called an Old Italian that was really good.
What was that?
I feel like it was maybe Prosecco with like Angostura bitter or something.
Oh, okay. It was a little
grapefruit.
I remember it being more bitter.
Something like that.
Our drink of choice at home has been making peach bellinis. I think bellinis are peach, but just making bellinis out of peach puree and very, very, very cheap Prosecco. It's like a bottle for like €3.
Yeah, well, I guess because it wasn't imported.
It's delicious.
It's delicious. Yeah.
So that's probably been my favorite discovery is bellinis.
Bellinis?
I think I'd only had like a bottled bellini before this.
I feel like I'm gonna go home and be like, I want some Aperol Spritz, which beforehand I was like unsure if I would like it or not.
Well, I think my brother gave us a half-used bottle of Aperol because he didn't want it.
Exactly.
And we were like, I don't know what to do with this, but now we do.
Yeah, I think you just mix it with Prosecco and soda water.
My favorite snack, probably, and by favorite I mean most interesting, was they sell Parmigiano Reggiano, just snacks, block cheese
tiny block.
at McDonald's here.
It's like a cheese string equivalent. Like you just have a little piece of
but
cheese.
It's just Parmigiano Reggiano from McDonald's in a little package for like €1. They also have like little pizza pops, panzerotti kind of things.
Those were pretty good, honestly.
Actually better than pizza pops in Canada.
Oh yeah. I've enjoyed just like little snacky doos, like
I really want that pigeon to walk in front of the camera. This way. Snacky doos?
Like we got some pecorino and salami from a deli in Tuscany, and that was just like and we also got like some bruschetta crostini kind of appetizers in Tuscany, and those were really yummy. It's hard to decide. There's just so many tasty things.
Yeah. And meal-wise, best meal?
That's so hard.
One we had yesterday was pretty.
It was pretty great. I had like it was like sort of a white sauce lasagna. It had like mushrooms, provolone,
smoked provolone, truffles, and I had beef shank ravioli in a butter sage sauce, which was really, really excellent.
It's funny because.
Why is it funny? Tell me.
Because when we got together, I feel like you're like, I don't like ravioli. I don't like that there's like beef and it separates. And then eventually I got you to enjoy non-meat ravioli. We had that quite a bit, like mushroom ravioli. And then you ordered beef ravioli here.
Yeah.
And you loved it. And like, so it's just such a change, all the different things you enjoy now that you didn't used to.
My original problem with it was I would have like poorly cooked like frozen ravioli that had meat in the center and it wasn't cooked enough, so the meat in the center would be cold. And I'm like, cold meat in an otherwise hot dish?
Yeah.
That's gross.
Yeah.
So I wasn't into ravioli.
Yeah. You just have to have the best version of it, eh?
Yeah, well, that's what happened in Bologna. Is like I'm not big on bolognese sauce, and I'm also not big on tortellini or tortelloni.
Yeah.
But I got bolognese sauce in Bologna because I was
Yeah.
like, this is a place to get
This
it.
is the place to get it,
And
yeah, for sure.
the best version of something that you think is just okay is still just okay.
Yeah, it
didn't
depends.
blow my mind. Some of the stuff we've been describing as being like, it's good, but it's not come all the way to Italy good.
Yeah,
You know?
it's more like good for at home
Yeah.
or something.
The orecchiette with pistachio pesto was good, wasn't come all the way to Italy good. Also kind of expensive. They have like cover charges here for dinner, which is a bit, supposedly it's for the cost of the breadsticks. I'm like, just leave the breadsticks out. Give me real bread. Some places give you real bread and it's great. Other places give you like plastic prepackaged breadsticks and it's like, we're in Italy. I don't need that.
I thought it was like
fake Italy.
I thought it was kind of like a service charge, like instead of them like expecting a tip, it's more like it's like a gratuity ahead of time.
Some places just add the tip in and it's like 10%.
They usually do that when they serve alcohol.
But the cover charge is different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh well. But
not a big deal.
one of the
food's been really good.
One of the best meals that we've had was in Tuscany. We went to a place that was run by a husband and wife couple, and I guess it was because it was the middle of the week, or I don't know, because it's the off season. It's not a very touristy area. Yeah. It was just like dead. We were the only ones there, and I was looking at the menu, and we were in Lastra a Signa, and the place that we were eating at was called Lastra a Vigna.
Yeah.
So I guess it's like a wine pun.
It's cute.
And I was looking at the menu and I saw Lastra a Vigna by Pino and Sabrina. And I looked in the kitchen and I was like, that must be Sabrina. And I looked at our server and I was like, that must be Pino. And when Pino brought by our next thing, I pointed at the menu and I was like, Pino? And he was like, si. And I was like, grazie, Pino. And he's like, grazie.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I would say, like, when we're talking about, like, cinema and, like, the vibe of Italy, I think in a lot of ways it's what you would expect almost. Just kind of, like...
It depends.
It depends on the context. Like, there is a lot of quaint things. It seems like people know each other. It's very, like, sociable, familial.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of thing.
When someone walks into a cafe or whatever, they just kind of say, like, buongiorno to no one in particular.
Well, to you. Yeah, like, good day.
Well,
like,
sure.
Yeah.
But, just, like, to everyone is what I mean.
Sure.
Not like, oh, I know this specific person behind the counter.
Yeah.
It's not like in Canada I would walk into Black Squirrel Books and be like, good morning, everyone.
Yeah.
But maybe now I will.
It's sort of like a common thing to just like get like afternoon drinks and snacks and then have a really late dinner and like just seeing like groups of people like hanging out with like spritzes and stuff. Like it just seems like a fun vibe.
Yeah. Dinner in Italy is served at like 7 p.m. at the earliest.
That's like old people. When we've
I guess.
been there.
Yeah. So it was kind of culture shock that like at one point, I think it was on our first or second day, we sat down in a restaurant to eat at like 5 p.m. and they were like, the vibe was kind of like, what are you doing in here? And they were like taking meetings in the corner and there was a guy doing like photos of their cocktails.
Yeah.
And
we
they
were
just kind of
jet lagged, we were starving.
Yeah. Well, they handed us like a limited menu and they're like, we're not really serving dinner until like 2.5 hours from now.
Yeah, and it wasn't that busy. We were like one of a few in there.
But so to close the loop, at Lastra a Vigna, what did you have and what did I have? I think I had ravioli there too. Yeah, I had ravioli filled with burrata cheese.
That was really good.
With chunks of eggplant.
I had pumpkin risotto.
Yeah.
When I was there, I was reminded a lot of the movie Big Night.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to tie this back to like Italian cinema and our influences.
Why? Because we do a movie podcast and we're not talking about movies?
Yeah.
I see right through you.
No, but I'm definitely very inspired by Big Night. I feel like that's something that I've really been thinking of on this trip is just like the joy of life of enjoying food and like getting really excited about the process of making food and just honoring like the restaurants that like put lots of love and care into their food and having like the best meal ever. You're like, oh, that was so good.
I mean, the wine definitely helps.
Yeah, and sparkling water.
Yeah. Oh, the sparkling water has been, like, I was already into sparkling water before we came here. Hopefully the audience can hear that. I was already into sparkling water before we came here, but I realized how good of a palate cleanser it is, how much better of a palate cleanser it is than still water while eating food here.
I've heard it's good for digestion, which is why I think it's so synonymous here.
So the sparkling water, and then, just building off of your point, just like eating a lot more slowly, you know?
Yeah,
taking smaller bites.
Sometimes the portions are a bit small, and it's like, a lot of the food is like mid-priced here. Like, it's not super far off from like a restaurant in Canada prices, but like, you want to like savor every bite.
It's generally a little bit cheaper, I would say.
Generally, yeah. Even with a cover charge and charging for water.
Yeah, it depends where you go. Like the meal that we had last night with the ravioli, not the burrata, but the
meat
ravioli. Yeah, that was like, I thought was a fair price. The place where we had the orecchietti with the pistachio pesto was
a bit much.
Overpriced for what it was.
Yeah.
But one thing that I've loved about eating here, and I was thrown off by it at first, is that you really have to ask for the bill at most places.
Yeah.
They'll just leave you alone and they'll let you like sit there and eat for like 2 hours or whatever, and like eat very slowly.
Yeah.
Usually order more than one thing, I guess.
Well, and I think maybe they expect you to just like sit and hang. It's more of a culture of just like sitting and hanging and enjoying. Like maybe you'll order another cocktail. Like, you know, it's just the vibe of just relax, you know. And that's part of the reason why dinners are so late, I read, is because it's usually like a very like familial friend type thing. You wait until your family and friends are off of work to have dinner all together. Whereas sometimes in Canada it can be more of a rushed experience, like a necessary evening.
Yeah, it's like once they see you're done your meal, they usually bring the bill like right away, and then after you pay it, you're kind of like pressured. You feel pressured to get out of there, but yeah, here you have to ask for the bill, and then they bring it, and then you usually pay elsewhere from the table, like up at the front bar or whatever.
Yeah.
And there isn't really a rush to get out, which is nice.
And the waiters are friendly, but they're not chatty normally.
No. Yeah.
Like if you ask them a question, they'll be like, yeah, but they're very straight and to the point. Like, I think a lot of these businesses are smaller and more like family owned as well. So like, some of the waiters might be the owners, you know?
Some of the waiters might be what, sorry?
Like the owners, you know? Like there's, or like
like Pino.
Or a family member of someone that owns the restaurant. You know, it's less of a minimum wage waiter that doesn't care about the experience they're having at their crappy job. It's more like, oh no, this is what we do. This is like our life.
I have gotten that vibe generally,
Yeah.
What were you most excited about coming here, and has it lived up to your expectation and your hype?
I was extremely excited to eat the food and the architecture.
You wanted to eat the architecture?
No.
Might be a little hard to swallow.
The architecture and traveling. Like, when I think of like European movies, European style things, I think of something like the Before trilogy, where
He's good with that thing.
Yeah. The Before trilogy, where you're just like walking around, chatting, you go into a bookstore, you look around, you eat some food, you drink some coffee, you chat on a train, you know, like just the experience of just kind of leisurely hanging out.
That's what I wanted, like a nice chill experience. Like I said, like I knew I didn't want to go in for like an hour-long guided tour.
No.
I'm more so the kind of person who likes the freedom of being able to be like, I want to get the f out of where we are right now and just leave and go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Instead of like feeling like I'm hooked onto that tour, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Especially with getting headaches and stuff. Sometimes I'm like, all right, guys, I'm gonna head out. I just need to bow out.
For sure. I would say for the most part, from like the depictions of everything that I've seen, it's like been everything and more in a lot of ways. In some ways, it's fairly modern, you know, depending on the area you're in. Like,
Definitely depends on the area. Some areas are not modern.
definitely the architecture, no. Like Venice is like
Yeah.
this is all original. But you know, like
I mean,
yeah.
bathrooms are a roll of the dice.
Yeah, bathrooms aren't always free. Usually, like it's free if you're like eating there as a customer, anyways.
Well, this is what you said. It's like if I'm going to pay for the bathroom, it better be immaculate, and usually it's not.
That was the worst part at the mall. Like in Canada, like usually mall bathrooms are like pretty nice.
Yeah, not bad.
Usually well kept depending on where you go. Here, it was not that well kept. It was kind of gross, and we each had to pay €1 to use it.
Yeah. Even like the Airbnb bathrooms have been hit or miss. They all have two things though. They all have a bidet.
Yeah.
Which we haven't used a ton, or at least I haven't. And they all have a heated towel rack.
That is nice.
Which
I
has been great,
want that.
especially for having to do laundry here in the sink at places that don't have a washer dryer. The problem is our Airbnbs that had a washer dryer were early in our trip before all of our stuff was dirty.
Yeah.
Now we're halfway through and most of our stuff needs a washing and there's no washer dryer. So the heated drying rack, as limited space as it has come in definitely clutch.
Yeah.
But some of the showers and shower heads have been a real mixed experience. Whereas I feel like there's usually a lot of consistency with that in Canada.
I feel like the hot water here is more like heated to go as needed.
It depended on the place. The first place I had got maybe like 60 seconds of hot water, whereas my shower today I had like a good 15 minutes, which was great. But the shower head that gave me the most trouble, I'll try to explain this as best I can for the viewers. So imagine one of those shower heads that you have that metal vertical bar that the head can slide up and down on to accommodate different heights. So it slides up and down on that, and then it's on a swivel that moves it forward and backwards, tilts it forward and backwards, to and fro, if you will.
Sure.
A couple nights ago, I think this was in Bologna, I took a shower, and the head and the swivel was very loose. And what I realized was where the head was tilted was very dependent on the pressure moving through the hose connected to the head. So I turned on the shower before I got in, and it kind of like whoosh, like whipped up. And I was like, whoa, okay. And it took a minute to like get it in the right spot. And then I was like, okay. And then I came in. And then the pressure was a bit too much, and I was like, let me turn it down. And I turned down the pressure, and then it was like, and like splash right in my face. And I was like, oh, geez. And then another few minutes went by, and then I was like, oh, it's not quite enough. Right in my face again. So that's been a little weird, adjusting to that.
Yeah.
Usually it's just like the shower head stays still, and it doesn't really matter.
For sure.
You know?
I think we're having sort of a generally like middle class experience. Like if we came here as like backpackers and stayed in hostels, it would have been even more like frantic, like sharing spaces with everyone. We've generally stayed in like studio apartments.
I do want to acknowledge, I feel we're very lucky. We're very blessed to be able to not only go on this trip, but stay in like private Airbnbs and have nice food and drink experiences. And I've been grateful and appreciative for it every single day. And I only talk about the negatives because it's a good story and it's
absolutely
nicely entertaining.
Yeah.
But we've had so many moments of peace and pleasure here, and I've enjoyed every second of it, and I will continue to enjoy every second of it.
For sure. How do you feel like this influences you cinematically? I know you were inspired by this culture here, and you wrote like a little short film sort of based on things. And,
adjacent. I mean, we traveled through France, so France was on my mind. So I wrote a little short while I was here about angry Frenchmen, because I thought it would be funny. Partially as a way to work through my feelings of hating Breathless so much, is part of why that's inspired me.
I think,
I wanted, to answer your question, I want to do more food making montages in the stuff that I shoot. Because usually, like, shooting food historically at my day job has been one of the most fun things. Food and construction, because
Absolutely.
it's a lot of like
Making.
fast moving things, making things.
It's
has been
satisfying.
great.
There's a before and after. It's like the components, like the whole is greater than the sum of its components. You take, like pieces of plank, like wood, and nail things together, and you got something. It's the same with food. You take this ingredient, and it's like something special and new.
It's the same with editing.
Yeah.
You take a shot, take reaction shot. Now there's emotion there. You know?
And I think if we think about that in relation, especially for something like Italy, I feel like a lot of food montages and movies that deal with food evoke a lot of emotions, like a familial thing where you feel like you're being taken care of. It provides you with a physical warmth, like a happiness. Like I think of something like Ratatouille. It's French, but it's, the countries are next to each other. They're very adjacent. When the critic takes the bite of the ratatouille,
I've been thinking about that a lot.
and it reminds him of like his mom's cooking. Like I just love feelings of that. Or like in Big Night, where like the girl's crying and she's like, I hate my mother because like her mother never cooked that well, and she's like, oh, like this meal is just like too good. I just love all those feelings that something simple like a dish can make you feel those things. Just feeling loved, like things are putting together. It's all so special.
I have been thinking about that Ratatouille scene a lot, and just thinking about like the joys of life, and because our trip has been on an upward trajectory. It started kind of rocky, and it's only gotten better. Just focusing on the positivity of things, positivity of life, and all the joys, and even with regards to movies and watching movies and being a movie critic. I was talking to you about this earlier today. I think I'm kind of moving away from Letterboxd, because maybe I'll go back and re-listen to some of these earlier episodes, but I'm realizing I want to talk more about just like the positives, things that I like about movies, or things like constructive criticism of how things could just be better. Because what I don't like about Letterboxd is it's a lot of like memes and one-liners reviewing movies, or a lot of just like comparing movies to diarrhea and just like, this movie sucks, it's sludge. And don't get me wrong, I'm a big angry video game nerd fan, and that's a lot of what that is.
It's
but
satire.
That's farcical.
Yeah.
It's satire. It's clear that that's a character. If you watch his other movie reviews that are a lot more like honest and from the heart.
It's usually about movies he enjoys, like Godzilla and stuff. He'll do his movie-a-thons, and it's especially like October, he is a big fan of like horror, monster movies, like that kind of thing. He talks about movies he loves. And I agree with that. Is like there's so much about cinema that is so great that you sometimes a picture is worth 1,000 words. A simple moment with no dialogue can really speak volumes. Something like taking a bite of food and invoking happiness can really set a tone for something. And I think there's just such great things about cinema, and it can just keep history. Like I think of a movie like The 400 Blows that's been on my mind a lot lately too. It's like such a simple movie, not a lot of dialogue, but it's lasted like the test of time. It's been around since like the late 50s, I think, and there's just so many great things you can say about cinema, and I think it's such a waste of time to just like dog on movies when there's just so much great out there that you can share about with people.
Yeah, especially if it's just like you're doing it just to provoke like a response, like reading a review of Madam Web and seeing it be compared to slop. I'm like, slop? Like, you're not even saying like it's just poor entertainment, but like slop is like that. Like, do you even enjoy movies?
I feel like a lot of people that review movies have never made a movie or tried to make a movie. Because like, do you know how
let's
hard
not sit on our high horse too high here.
I'm just saying is like, yeah, there's movies I don't enjoy, but when you actually take the time to think about like all the time and effort and money and like all the workers who worked on this thing, even if it's no good, a lot of effort has been put into it.
Movies are hard, and a movie like Madam Web usually ends up bad because of studio interference. And I think the people making it usually are aware of that. They're usually like, this this is turning out bad and I wish that it didn't, but I'm still going to try my best. But
Right.
like a studio head or a department head is like making poor decisions. So I
For
try to
sure.
still respect all of the good things about movies like
Yeah.
that. You know, something like Breathless, I find like a bit more personally offensive just because like of the reputation that they have for being so amazing. While I'm
Right.
not, I'm just not seeing it, and I'm trying.
I appreciate the craft of something like that though. You know, they just went around trying to make a movie simple, not like a lot of script. You know, they wore the clothes they wore, they just walked around. I like the vibe of that, and I think that was far better executed in the 400 Blows because it told more of a story than Breathless. But I
Yeah.
respect the effort and the craft.
It's
But
kind
it's
of
just not for me.
it's kind of like if you walked into McDonald's and you had a McDouble and you're like, oh, okay, that's pretty good. It kind of hit the spot. Versus someone bringing you to McDonald's and is like, this is the best burger I've ever eaten.
Some
You
people
have
are
to
like
try
that,
it.
yeah.
It's like, and then you try it and it's like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, I just don't get it. Like, how are you having this experience with this,
Yeah.
right? So that's part of why Breathless upsets me. It's just like
Right.
the legacy that it has as one of the greatest movies ever made. I'm like, it's okay. I don't see it.
Yeah, I would say if you think it's the greatest, it's a little pretentious to
But
say that.
but then
There's
what
a
I
lot of
also
great
want
elements
is like,
to it,
let's have a
though.
conversation about it. You
Yeah.
know, like I don't want to go on Letterbox and just be like, it's a piece of doggy diarrhea. You know, I want to like, I hope this is what my review was. I want to be like, if you like Breathless, please tell me why. Please explain it to me.
You want to
I
know.
want to know and I want to enjoy it. If I can get enjoyment out of it, I want
Yeah.
to.
I enjoyed.
Ciao.
I enjoyed the simplicity of
I think
it.
that's a Breathless fan over there.
Oh, totally. He's like, it's French New Wave cinema. It's deconstructing cinema from its artifice to rigid scenes and
That doesn't
medium
automatically
shots.
make it good.
No, but I think it was doing something new, and it ushered in a new era of more authentic cinema verite, you know,
Sure.
to where we are now. If you watch a movie just years prior, like Rebel Without a Cause, it's a lot more melodramatic.
It's melodramatic.
Or just, you know, any of those movies like Sunset Boulevard. I love Sunset Boulevard, but it's just, I mean, even Sunset Boulevard is like maybe a little more realistic. But if you go back like to some movies from like the 40s, it's all just like stagnant medium shots. Everyone's talking in transatlantic accents. They're really going for something different. They're like, oh, we're just like, it's kind of like pre-mumblecore, where it's like, we're just having authentic conversations. We're just kind of vibing. We're moving around.
I definitely understand that, but it comes back to like the Jazz Singer. It's like, just because the Jazz Singer was the first movie to use sound doesn't automatically make it good. In fact, it was pretty bad.
Well, yeah. I think, I don't know if Breathless was one of the first, but it was certainly very representative of the new era of cinema, for sure. Yeah.
All right. Well, my butt's starting to fall asleep.
Yeah, it's cold on this pavement.
Goals for the rest of the day?
Enjoy lots of food.
I think we're going to get some more gelato.
Yes.
We had some great lemon and strawberry and coffee gelato last night.
Eat
which was
lots
excellent.
of food. Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Absolutely.
Have some more drinks.
Yeah. Ciao. And just have, you know, a big night, you know?
Big night.
Enjoy a great time and, you know, think about maybe other Italian, French movies that we should watch, because there's so many on my mind, you know, to watch. Something like La Ventura was like, meh. But like Bicycle Thieves, one of the best. Excellent. You know, so
yeah.
All right. Never know.
Well, thanks so much, everybody, for listening, and we'll see you back in Canada in the next one.